Well, hello again, everybody. Your favorite fellas are back here in studio tonight. We're getting lit. Woo!
I'm getting a little sweaty. I'm ready for this.
My, 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 my.
Yeah, it's part of the movie. And we're talking the Mitchells versus the Machines.
Machines. Great animated movie from Sony Pictures Animation Studios. And it's a Lord and Miller produced animated picture. And it stars, it's obviously voiced by some huge names out there. Danny McBride plays the father, Rick. And then you have Maya Rudolph, who is the mom. She plays Linda. Then you have a couple kids. You have Abby Jacobson, who plays Katie Mitchell. And then you have the boy, Michael Rianda, who plays Aaron in this. So those are that's the family that we're following here, the Mitchells. Their family dynamics pretty quirky. They're good spirited clan. They seem pretty hip, middle-aged family and everything. The children, the girl's an artist. She's loved using the camera to film things ever since she's been a little girl. She used to make commercials when she was just a little girl and maybe got a camera for Christmas or something. So she's always been interested in making movies. So when we catch up in this film, she's 17, 18, about to go to college, and the time has come and she's going to be going to film school. So it's the last couple of days before she's going to have to go off to college. And Rick and the family there are, we're getting to know them. We find out that Rick and Katie haven't always had the best relationship. He's kind of seen her films that she's directed. She's good at editing and putting filters, and it looks very like, videos that you'd see on TikTok and stuff, those kind of videos to go viral. But he doesn't ever really pay attention to her talents or anything. He kind of thinks that, she's maybe just going through a phase or something. This is more just like stuff she does for fun. So he's never actually taken the time to, find out what her dreams and aspirations are. So they haven't always had the best relationship with each other, because he hasn't made the time to really get to know her. So that's the basis of this film is Rick and Katie's relationship there.
Yep, and they embark on this journey. She's going to film school in LA. They live in Michigan, Midwestern town that we can relate to growing up in Illinois. You're aspiring artist. You want to get out there and do something with your life, get away from your small town that you grew up in. And really, that's where she's at. And, a lot of kids this age, 18, want to get away from their parents, try something new, try a new adventure. And, very relatable. I think, Katie's character was pretty interesting. A character that reminded me of myself being that age, just making movies and hanging out with your friends and being young. The last thing you want to do is hang out with your parents being 18 years old. So instead of her flying out there, they go on this road trip across the country to get her to film school, which sets up the rest of the film with the wild robot. But I will say that I love the wild Rick. He loves the outdoors, the dad. Danny McBride started talking. I literally laughed out loud because I figured, I'm like, that's Danny McBride. I waited for him to drop some cuss words or something like an Eastbound and Down, but he kept it pretty clean. But he was always funny in this movie, and him and Katie really don't see eye to eye. Completely different, and he wants her to have a real career, go to college, and have money, and not try to follow this dream, being a filmmaker and being broke, and it not working out for her. So he's like the typical dad, just wants the best for his kids, and they don't see eye to eye. They fight a lot, and this movie's really looking at their relationship.
Absolutely. And they decide to go on this road trip. They're going to drive as a family, so they'll get some good hours in the car on this road trip, see some stuff along the way, and hopefully Rick and Katie can sort of, solidify their relationship and strengthen it a little bit before she's going to go off to college and he's not going to get to see her as much. So this is very important to him and both of them and the whole family, really. So along the way it shows them going and seeing, different sites along the road trip. They end up stopping at this place where it's kind of like a dinosaur park where they have these big, statues of dinosaurs and whatever. And they're in there. And this is where it gets, when the science fiction is injected into the story, this is where we get the big robot apocalypse of the story. And basically these robots come from what we know as Siri. There's this big company in the movie, and they have this assistant they call Pal, Well, PAL's getting an upgrade this year, so they're having some big tech event in Silicon Valley, I'm assuming, where they're going to introduce this latest generation of what PAL's going to be moving forward. And it's very clever. It has this scene of him kind of talking to the assistant like you talk to Siri on the iPhone, and he's like, you've been great, you've been really great to me. And then he basically tosses the phone. He
Yeah.
tosses the phone, and he says, but you're obsolete now. And he tosses it, and it shows a sad face on the phone, which I thought was pretty indicative of how things were going to get twisted here in this world of androids and AI. Big fully formed robots,
Yeah.
which had the same software, but they obviously can do everything for you. They can take out your trash. They can do whatever. They're kind of like Iron Man's in a way, but like
Yeah.
personal assistants.
Yeah. They're virtual assistants, basically robots that can do anything for you. Created by Mark Bowman. He's the head of this company, PAL.
Eric Andre, voiced by Eric Andre.
Eric Andre, the comedian. He's like a tech billionaire, young millennial, younger guy, and everything kind of goes wrong introducing these virtual assistants at this tech event, and that's when all these robots come to life and basically try to take over the world, take over the humans.
It feels very realistic. It feels, like the writers are very in tune with the times and everything with this whole, because iPhones have these big conferences and where they show off their new latest iPhones and all their computers and everything, or software. So it felt very realistic and everything. And even with the robots, it feels like we're going to be heading that way, within the not too distant future, honestly, with the way technology is progressing at this rate. We're going to see some crazy stuff. So very believable. And I love the voices of the robots are voiced by Beck Bennett from SNL. And he was cracking me up the whole time, like all his like little sayings and his robot voice were very funny. He had some great lines. And then the other robot is voiced by Fred Armisen, did the other voice. So I like the dynamic between those two. And you sort of get to hear them as, these good robots that don't have this evil chip in them against all these other robots that have been programmed to try to basically kill the Mitchells. So it's all about the Mitchells surviving against this robot apocalypse. And during all this chaos, it's about how Katie and Rick and the family all, sort of finally become this big cohesive unit, and hopefully she'll still be able to go to college. Hopefully the world will still be around after this robot apocalypse happens.
Yeah, exactly. And them on this road trip, it's pretty awesome. I mean, again, the animation looks top notch. All these robots fighting them, and it reminded me a lot of Astro's Playroom on PS5. Just the way that it's like intergalactic with robots everywhere and you're fighting, and like it was very cool. And also reminded me of Lizzie McGuire. Some of the animation reminded me of that show with Hilary Duff. I don't know why. This movie has a really great soundtrack, and I love this adventure they go on. It brings the family together, right? It's apocalypse. They have to stick together to fight off these robots and one by one and make it to their destination. So I thought they had a really great family dynamic. A lot of great themes here. A lot of things I can relate to, the relationship with the family, especially the daughter and the father, and how they overcome a lot of humps along the way. So I really had a great time with it.
I had a freaking blast with this movie, honestly.
I had a freaking blast.
I had a freaking blast, man. I love the animation. I thought it was very unique. It was different than the other animated films I'd seen before. More in line with like the Into the Spider-Verse kind of animation, kind of doing something different. The story is very relatable. I love the whole family dynamic about how all their all of them are imperfect, and we got to see each of their unique personalities. How Rick was like kind of like the standard dad that didn't take anything seriously until it was kind of the last minute, and then your kid's going to be going off to college, kind of too busy doing all your work and not spend enough time with the family before it's too late. So I loved the whole dynamic and how they were able to overcome and work together to make it through this apocalypse, and how technology and filmmaking was involved in the story. I like that, obviously. Very cool. Felt relevant, all the technology, all the drones. I just had a great time. It's a great time for the whole family. You can have, your 4-year-old there, and as well as the adults are going to enjoy it too, because there's some humor that only adults are going to get, but nothing too offensive or too crazy that you couldn't watch with your kids, in my opinion.
Yeah, I watched it with my 6-year-old. He had an absolute blast with it. We were both laughing. We are really invested in the characters. Loved all the animation and music, and we're like, we want more of this. So hopefully they make a sequel to this. That'd be really awesome. But it's fun for the whole family. Really great story, great themes. A look at technology, like you're saying. Everybody's staring at their phones all day. You know, technology, robots. It could happen. They're already building these things with drones and actual robots. So you know, it's a lot of messages here. Spend the time with your family and friends. Enjoy life. Don't get wrapped up in technology all day long. You're only on this place once, so enjoy life, you know, going out in nature and doing things with your friends and family. It's a lot of relatable messages here. I love the voice actors, the directing in here, the script. I think across the board, it was a pretty fantastic movie to watch with your family. I really had no complaints about it. So with that being said, I would probably give it a 4.5 out of 5 robot hair pieces.
I enjoyed all aspects of the film. Love the family dynamic. I really, you know, it felt real to me. I could relate. Very heartfelt story there. Makes you think about life and about the time spent with your kids and everything in your family. You want to make sure that you keep your family close, because you never know when something can come up, like the robot apocalypse. I liked all the voice work. Danny McBride's awesome. The kids did a great job. I loved Abby Jacobson as Katie. The dog was hilarious. I liked all the stuff with the dog. They had some funny things in there with that. I liked the whole story with the technology, like I said, and the filmmaking. Overall, I just had a blast. Me and my family loved it. I love the music as well, is worth mentioning. They had some good indie rock in there, and some good music and a good score overall. So I don't really have any complaints about anything that I can think of in this movie. It's pretty much what you want to go see. If this opened in theaters, it would have been huge, and I'm glad to see that it was number one on Netflix too. So people are seeing it. They're just seeing it at home, which is fine. As long as it gets the props that it deserves. I hope there's a sequel. I am going to give The Mitchells versus Machines a 4.5 out of 5 robot hair pieces.
Pretty damn solid across the board. You know, family fun filled adventure, great music, you know, great characters, something you get invested in, you have a good time with, and something that could possibly happen in the future. So you never know. But I would like, you know, Lord and Miller to continue to make animated films. They're just knocking them out of the park. You know, obviously Lego movies, and then you have Into the Spider-Verse. That's probably one of my favorite animated films in the past 5 years. But they kicked it up a notch with this film, so I'm really excited for the future for those guys and see where their career goes.
The director is Michael Rianda, who also voiced Aaron.
The brother.
So Michael Rianda. So remember that name for a director in the future. We'll probably see him blow up pretty soon, I'm sure. And yeah, he also did the writing for this. So there's a future talent here. He's done some other work, but this is really going to get him some notoriety. And yeah, Lord and Miller are awesome. Whatever they are attached to, you know, is going to be quality. They rarely have a bad project. So I think we both loved it. This one was a fun one to review. Everybody, please go check out The Mitchells vs. the Machines if you already haven't. It's a fun movie, and it's on Netflix. So just subscribe to Netflix, log in, and watch that film. It's a fun watch, about 2 hours long.
Yeah, you won't regret it. It's really one of the better films out on Netflix. They haven't really had much lately I've been interested in besides Jupiter's Legacy that came out, but like movies, it's definitely one of the best ones out there. So if you haven't seen it, highly recommend it. Definitely check it out. Bring your kids along too. With that being said, we have other videos right up here on our YouTube channel. We just reviewed Creepshow Season 2. We've been talking The Bad Batch on Disney Plus, Star Wars show, Mighty Ducks, and then we also reviewed Invincible Season 1 that's on Amazon Prime Video. So lots of content up on our YouTube channel. Also, head on over to Cinephellas.com, and we also have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us over there as well.
We look forward to doing more reviews coming up, and we're actually going to do more tonight. So we are not done. We are doing a marathon. We're doing a string of shows and movies here. So stay tuned to this channel. We're going to have a lot more videos to come.
If you haven't already, hit subscribe below. Your favorite robots are signing out until the next movie review. Cheers!